Good evening and welcome everybody to WOR. We are here for what is the final social race of, well, the pre-event season, I suppose you could call it, but we are here for, well, not another, what we hope to be an incredible race. I'm joined by the ever fantastic Jota again tonight. Welcome along for, well, let's hope it's entertaining, but not as chaotic as last time.
Hiya there, good evening everyone. Yeah, should be an absolute cracker for this one. Obviously, we're racing tonight here in Austria. Of course, the home of the upcoming Formula One Grand Prix in F125 as well. So everyone preparing themselves for what is going to be no doubt a really intense race week in real life. The last opportunity for the drivers to really set their sights on this game before we go professionally racing.
Yeah, and let's talk about, well, the information for season 21 because it's up on the screen right now. Come join us in the Discord if you haven't already. You get to see your console and PC sign-up forms all the way through there. There is 3 time trial tracks, which I actually find really good time trial tracks. They are Bahrain, Miami and Qatar. And let's talk about that one as step 3 in a moment, but we've got to complete them by July the 11th. And then the placements announced on July the 14th. But those 3 tracks for time trials are really quite... they're all different.
Yeah, a bit of a mixed bag in this one, isn't it? Because I think they've got to get a really good handle on the entirety of this game. It's a nice evolution of the previous one. So going from Bahrain to Miami to Qatar gives everyone... it gives the moderators a good opportunity to scope out exactly where the drivers... are really going to be best suited because, of course, all 3 have got completely different characteristics. You've got Bahrain with its more sort of a best of all worlds. You've got your slow corners and you've got your mid corners and fast corners, where you've got Miami is majority of that is pretty much mid corners, except that little slow bit underneath the bridge. And then Qatar, extremely quick circuit, not much in the way of braking around there. So nice variety of circuits to get the best of all of the abilities of the drivers as they will be seated in the upcoming weeks.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe I'll head on over. I don't know. Don't think I'm ready for the driver's seat just yet again, but we'll wait and see. But let's talk about the season 21 calendar as a whole then, and what a jam-packed season this is going to be. So we start in Australia on July 21st to the July 25th. You've got Spain the next racing week, and then Belgium, United States, Monaco, which, well, we all know a driver in the lobby that's here tonight that has performed incredibly well over the last few seasons. That's Niall, who won by a country mile before. And then you've got Azerbaijan, Great Britain, Emilia Romagna, Japanese Grand Prix, and then rounding out the season at Abu Dhabi. And there always is. I mean, I'm slightly disappointed that tonight's track isn't on there because Austria always brings up an absolute insane drive and from the drivers, but it's still a jam-packed 10 races that we're going to have in season 21.
Yeah, no, a bit quite surprised actually on the omission of the likes of Interlagos, Monza, and of course Spielberg, the Red Bull Ring. I am actually kind of surprised that they didn't make this calendar, but it's only a 10-race calendar, and to be fair, a real mixed bag of circuits that bring completely different values. You're taking the likes of Australia and Spain, very different circuits at the first hurdles, and then obviously the historical prevalence of Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps makes its appearance in the 3rd round. Again, very sort of low downforce running on that one. But then you go into Kota, where every mistake that you make is going to be punished, and then, of course, never forget Monaco in exactly the same principle. So you've got a very wide variety of circuits, despite the fact that it's only 10 rounds, and that's the reason why you may end up seeing a notable omission in the likes of Monza, because you need that variety, and it's always nice to see Imola, because, of course, this is the last game where we're going to have Imola, no doubt, because next game cycle, you would expect Imola would be gone, because we won't have it.
Yeah, it's such a shame. I love Imola. It can cause chaos for people, but it's such a good track as well. Out of the 10, what's your favourite?
Ooh, well, I mean, Great Britain always brings, Silverstone always brings, a nice variety of corners. One of my favourite corners in Maggots and Beckett's going down the main straight is my favourite sort of set of complexes, I would suppose, other than probably Aqua Minerale down in Imola. So, you know, if you want my favourite circuit out of all of them for racing on, Britain, maybe Azerbaijan. But for best circuit, just purely on its historical prevalence as well, Belgium, Spa, always brings a little fantastical affair, I would suspect. As it looks like we're just about to get going.
We certainly are. And, well, it isn't like last week. Well, sprint race or whatever. And was it last week we had the sprint? I can't remember now.
Yes,
I just remember the end of the feature race being absolutely chaotic.
Carnage. Yeah, absolutely.
But, yes, if memory serves me correctly, it's 36 laps here of pure chaos that we are sure going to... Hopefully the good chaos. They channel it in the right way, but no one's going out on track at the moment. As I say that, I see a Ferrari personnel right down at the bottom. But when it comes to the season 21 calendar for the console and Xbox side of things, it is going to be jam-packed. More news on, well, Legacy Division and everything like that, I'm sure is going to hit the scenes soon enough. But I suppose we should really hit 2-track because Enzo Sabaton is going to be the first driver, providing they don't mess up through it all, to set a lap time here tonight. And it's quite a jam-packed grid again tonight.
On the intermediate tyre, no surprises. I don't want to burn through the set of tyres that they've got available here. Soft tyre, surprisingly, can go quite the distance on this particular circuit. So I would expect possibly the one stop for the 50% race ahead of us. But Enzo, of course, is going to be a man that we're going to be keeping a firm eye on in terms of attrition tonight because he is with a hardware incapacity at the moment. His wheel has all gone kaput, according to the knowledge of your man Warder in the chat with me tonight. But he will be on the controller for this particular event, and that could pose a different kind of challenge in this social race for Enzo. The last social race, as I said, for WOR before we get going.
Yeah, I did see a picture of said wheel in the bin as well. So he's definitely not happy with that. But let's see how quick they can be on a set of, well, intermediates and also a set of pads, I was going to say. But then that kind of sounds more like he's going to go out and play cricket than drive an F1 car on F1 2025. But let's see how it will all pan down because actually he looks like he's holding the grip really well on the intermediate tyres. And as I say that, it's just going on a bit square whiff into the skew whiff even into turn 4.
Yeah, a couple of bites of the cherry actually going into the corner with a lot of lock on. So he's obviously experiencing not a lot of grip on these intermediate tyres in the dry, and that is no expectation. But he's still hitting his apexes relatively stably, I would say, as he goes through then this big left-hander. This is posed to be quite a bit of a challenge, actually, over the last couple of game cycles. There seems to be like a little bit of a slight increase in elevation as you enter into the corner, and that catches a lot of people out, and people miss their apex just ever so slightly as a result. And going through then final couple of corners then, of course, and then this one, the big one at turn 10, which is where we'd expect a lot of people to be hitting the track limits, but a bit more of a conservative approach for Enzo. First person across the line, 107.443. 107, Inter's not a bad going.
I have a feeling that's quicker than I am in a set of softs, to be honest, but we'll not go there. Yassir going faster, Lifebout going even faster with 107.113 as Zach Styler rounds out the final corner of turn 10. And across the line with a 107.452. They're still pretty consistent times considering they're on a set of intermediates. It's good job from these guys right now.
Francesco Largo would have gone a bit faster, but a bit of a mistake at turn 9. Lucky to keep his lap, actually. Here comes TRT's Nico as the person I'm following at the moment, just coming across the final corner right now. Not looking too bad himself, actually, as he comes across the line. Goes fastest of anyone by 1,000th of a second to Lifebout with a 107.112.
That is ridiculously close between the two of them. Oscu then coming into turn 9, the Rint corner, as in Jochen Rint. And for those of you who will know, go back a fair few years for that name. But across the line for Oscu, the Kick Sauber locking out that second row of the grid right now.
Keeping an eye out on a couple of other people as well. Now, Gio just coming across the line here. Not a bad lap time coming in. Another one in the 107.4s and 16 thousandths of a second down on Oscar. We have got lap times about to start coming in for those on soft tyres. And this one, Caden Conway in the V-Carb is now just coming across the line to start his lap now on a set of soft tyres. So this should be the fastest of anyone so far, but I haven't heard a lot about Conway. Coming across turn 1, lucky to keep his lap actually, because he went very wide out of turn 1 and actually mounted the sausage curb, which is not the most optimal way of taking that corner. They're through to turn Lee, wide entry, going into the right-hander again, and a bit more of the sausage curb. I think he's getting caught off guard by how snappy the front end is potentially in this game. It is a lot more potent than perhaps people would meet the eye. He can brake a lot later in this game than perhaps the racing line would tell you. Going through the right-hander, not bad, hits his apex, but can't get on the throttle. He's not got a lot of confidence. Using medium as well on his ERS, he's not particularly keen and misses his apex slightly. Going through 5 into 6, so you want to keep it nice and tight. Don't go too far over and readjust, stepping out ever so slightly. Using overtake now as he approaches what might be a few bumps over here, then chucking the car through the right-hander, nicely planted, then into turn 10, where once again don't want to stretch out too wide, and he has done exactly that. So no lap time on the case for Conway. 104.1 it would have been though.
Yeah, that's unfortunate for Conway, as Hazara is on a set of intermediates going down into turn 4. But that looked, unfortunately, a little bit scrappy for Caden Conway there. Maybe just trying to get used to the situation and track as it is. As there was, unfortunately, we missed Mercedes Airline apparently because Lifebout went flying on their lap. Quite literally, I've just seen a photo in the console tier 1 Discord, and that looks rather entertaining. And Enzo looks like the maybe has got the wheel back on and will be racing on a wheel. So we'll more news on that once it comes through. But here comes Hazara managing to fight the car around the final corner across the line. It's only managing a 108.081. I wonder, well, no one else on the lap. Oh, sorry, TRT Nico could be. Is Nico, or is it going to be, no, Enzo's still on a set of intermediates. So I think it's going to be TRT Nico to set the lap time first on a set of softs, since Conway unable to do so earlier on.
Yeah, Crowding also struggling as well. He's had a few issues with the front end not really snapping for him here, and I think again probably a testament to the fact he is on that intermediate tyre, and I think a lot of people just about switching over to the soft tyres as well. You may have mentioned as well TTM Crowding alongside Mustache, his co-compatriot at what was now TTM as well. I'll just want to throw out a special mention to Top Tier Motorsport shutting their doors on the end of Sunday the 29th of June, and what a disappointing thing it is for me as someone who's had a very soft spot for Top Tier Motorsport. I mentioned it over on X, but I want to mention it also in the stream as well. Big up TTM, all of the drivers that were involved in that project, and of course to Tez, who did a magnificent job over at Top Tier Motorsport. You will be sorely missed, guys, in the esports community.
It's a shame when places like that close their doors. But Nico back on the action, unfortunately, for the race. Just to gloss over that one quickly. The race of qualifying. TTR Nico is quite obviously purple in Sector 1 because of those fresh soft tyres. But I still think there was a mistake into Turn 3. I think, again, people maybe finding it a bit of a struggle to get those apexes absolutely perfect.
Yeah, maybe just used to the fact that these cars, of course, are a little bit more snippy on the front end, and I think when you've been at a circuit like this one, which requires a lot of front end in order for you to get the car rotated off camber, you may go for that earlier brake to give yourself a bit more leniency, but then the moment you turn the car, it just snaps, doesn't it? Nico fastest so far with 103.6. I'm currently following XPG Flame at the moment. He's just going through turn 4 now, so not a bad first sector so far from Flame. Is he going to hit his apex here? Just slightly off it, but not too bad from the Williams. He's 2.5 seconds up naturally from his intermediate time, but a bucket of understeer coming up that corner, which is not going to help his case at all. Now, these race engineers told him to pit. Will he do so, or will he complete the lap, I wonder? No, he's going to attempt to complete it. Then coming through the final corner, try not to extend it. Perfection through turn 10, and Flame will come across the line, go second fastest by a bit of a margin, though, between him and Nico.
Yeah, that is a little bit of a gap, isn't it, between the two of them? That's 1.1 seconds pretty much between them. As Quantum, I think, is going to be the first to start a lap, or is that a Ferrari just ahead? Or is that still Enzo coming through? That's Enzo going into the pit. So Quantum, let's have a look and see what happens for the McLaren driver. Currently sat P7, But let's see if they can continue the pace up, as I don't think the Mercedes or the Kick Sauber is going to get in the way as they head up into turn 2 and then into turns 3. For Quantum is up by 0.6 of a second at the moment, Jota. Looking okay. Looking okay for him.
Yeah, looking okay. Of course, remember this is a full qualifying, so this is to be treated with the same rules as you would expect in a main event. So, of course, if you are somehow not familiar with Formula One but tuning into WOR, the bottom 5 will be knocked out at the end of this one. Then, of course, you'll have the next 5 in Q2, and then it'll be a top 10 shootout or pole. As it stands so far, confidence falling on the TRT man of Nico. Belbelby just starting his lap out there at the moment. He's just going through turn number 3. We've got sector 3 yellow flags being waved for. I think it's a big rear end snap from Belbelby going through turn 3. Not sure what happened on there, but a bit of a lock up for certain as we go green again in that third sector. Coming through to turn 4 now for Belbelby as he chucks the car through this right-hander. No lock-up on this occasion, but a bucket of understeer. My suspicion is that he has got his brake bias set a little bit too far to the back, and that's allowing for the front tyres just to wash out and the rear tyres to lock up pretty quickly in the hard brake. You see, look at that understeer. Horrific for Belbelby. Get that brake bias. Move forward, sir. He's not finding any confidence whatsoever. Through 9 and then 10, the car will just find a little bit of unease going through 9, and he'll find it through 10, and as a result, he's cut the corner. Oscar goes fastest with a 3.5. Would have been a 4.2 for Belbelby. He's got a brake bias issue, that is for certain.
Yeah, that's not ideal for Belbelby as we go on board now with Lifebout coming through turn 3, down into, well, the back straight, but it looks very slow. It looks like there's a mistake from Lifebout, and yeah, pulling over, and nearly the Haas behind, nearly careers into the back of them, which is not ideal. Let's see if Zach Styler is going to be able to produce a lap time going into, as says Francesco there, Largo, claiming pole position for the time being, but Zach Styler heading towards turn 4.
Yes, yeah, absolutely blindsided me a little bit there, but going through turn 10, absolutely sent it through that final corner and just gets first place, but then beaten immediately by Owen. He was now with a 1:03.394 of his own at the moment. We've got other people setting lap times, crowding. Still struggling to set a lap time that's valid. It would have been a 4.2 for him as he comes across the line, but he invalidated. Here's Ryder Dahl as well. He's just going through turn 5 at the moment here with the sector 1 yellow flags away for a slowing car, but hitting his apex quite well for Ryder Dahl. Then chucking the car through 6. He'll want to try and keep it as late as he can, but again, washing out wide ever so slightly.
Yeah, turn 7 seems to be catching a lot of drivers out at the moment, isn't it? It's a lot. We've seen a lot of cars going wide and not claiming that apex properly. And again, Ryder Dahl looked like he struggled through the final corner, but across the line for Ryder Dahl, it's only P7 for the Haas driver. Moustache is on a lap time. Again, another driver struggled with turn 7, like you say, washing out that way, but is still flying through this, and there could be an Aston Martin in their way.
Yeah, critically there, it's going to be not getting in the way too badly here. We're going to keep an eye out as well on the other Haas of crowding, who's actually diving into the pit lane. He's not happy at all out there. 4 and a bit minutes to go, so plenty of opportunities. Here comes the Ferrari of Enzo, only 9th fastest for Enzo. Has he switched to a wheel now? Is he still on the controller? Looking at the steering inputs, to me that looks like it's still a controller. He should be okay. I would say with a 3.6, it'll be close margins, that's for certain. Francesco Largo retiring with a 3.4, he's happy. We've got XPG Flame, who's spun out at turn 7. He will be returning to the pits, no doubt. I think we've also got a Haas also struggling as well. Same situation, I believe that one to be Ryder Dahl. He's just trying to get that off, and he'll be in the pit lane as well. So 2 people out there happy with their lap times with a 3.3 and a 3.4. They should be. I'd be happy with that as well. 3.5, you should be all right. 3.6, you'll be looking over your shoulder.
Yeah, well, Caden Conway, he's yet to set a lap time, same as Crowding and Belbelby, which we've already covered with drivers struggling for their lap time. But you're right, probably a 1:03.5 is probably where it's going to be. I wonder if Owen's time is going to get beaten by anyone today. We haven't seen the best of Enzo's times yet. Sorry, not Enzo, his teammate Nico, I think, is their time's not been as competitive as we were expecting, but they are on an out lap. Lifebout as well, possibly. Actually, Lifebout's just gone into the pits. Zinedin's thrown themselves up into P4 for the provisional time being, as well as we have Caden Conway for the final throws of qualifying to set a lap time, hopefully this time of asking.
They're going through the final corner then, as Caden will now throw all of his battery down this first straight. Then he'll go into turn one. It's slightly uphill here, as then he chucks the car through the right-hander. Try not to take too much curb. Perfectly taken in comparison to his last attempts. Great work from Conway as he now heads down this big straight. Again, going further up the hill at turn three. You want to go as late as you possibly can. Try not to take the corner too early. That's exactly, again, what Conway has done. He's learned from his mistakes on this one, and that's the kind of driver that you want to see in this particular tournament, as he then heads through into the bottom of the hill, turn four. You'll want to try and keep it as nice and tight as you possibly can, and well taken as well. Going through then 5 and then into 6. This is where, again, you'll want to try and hug that curb as much as you can. Again, Conway, to be fair, keeping it nice and tidy. Keeping it nice and tidy through 7. Not washing out wide on this occasion either. You know what? This is not a bad attempt, actually, from the V-carb, as he just hope the McLaren Mercedes won't get in the way. Chucking the car through 9. Well taken. Keep it nice and tidy for turn 10. Little bit scruffy. Washes out wide, but just keeping it over the line as he comes across the line right now. Tidy lap indeed from Conway. So 103.5. He goes 8th.
That's a good lap time there. That's a very, very tidy overall from the V-carb driver. Let's see what I think. Quantum's going to be the first driver. There's just a gaggle of cars on outlaps, and I'm not sure who's where with what and how. But a lot of the drivers at the top happy with the times that they have set. But Quantum is going to try and beat the 107 that they set on the intermediate tyres what seems like an age ago in qualifying. But into turn 4 now. Back end stepping out a little bit, which we haven't seen at turn 4 yet.
I'm not seeing a lot of that at the moment, as the rear end is just able to hold on, going again. Oh, look at that, the rear just stepping out once again. Obviously a lower downforce set up on the rear. Happy to lose the rear ever so slightly to have better front end for Quantum, and that's no surprise. This is very much a front end heavy circuit. Going through the right-hander, again, not able to get that curb nicely taken. Oh, it's an easy corner cut, and it certainly is, and Quantum is at risk of being knocked out of qualifying here. Would have been a 103.7, but I think he's going to be knocked out of qualifying here because he's got no battery and very limited time to get around this circuit. In fact, I think he'll be out of time.
Yeah, I think you're right there. Mustache is fine at the moment. Crowding really struggling. Who is that? Hazara coming through the fight. Well, Hazara is struggling for time as well. Looking at that, it's 109 and it's only around the final corner. That is not what you would expect from Hazara. XPG Flame on a lap time. Let's see what the Williams driver, the XPG driver, can do on this time of asking.
Not a bad effort here, as we've got the Alpine getting out of the way, diving it onto the grass actually to avoid getting in any kind of confrontation with Flame. Going through then this right-hander. Takes a bit more curb than others, but he can get down on the power a lot sooner as a result of doing that. But I think just on that occasion, Flame, not a lot of confidence in the car. Too much curb there. You've got to be very careful you don't touch that curb because it feels very auto-spinning. If you get that one wrong, he's up only 3/10 in the second sector is Flame. So he's hoping to try and get in the 103.5s. I did say the 103.6s you'd be looking over your shoulder. As it stands, it's 103.6 will be the one that gets you out. He's lost the rear. Oh, and he's then lost the car entirely. And that will be it for XPG Flame. Crowdin has got an opportunity to potentially get through here. Just needs to keep it nice and tidy. It's a really poor turn 10, though. Here he comes then. Does Crowdin get through? Oh, he's just knocked out, though. 104.4 for him. And then Hazara is going to be the last person. He's invalidated his lap as well. He starts P19. 103.6 was inevitably the cutoff.
You were exactly right with that. 106 in the end, pretty much. And Hazara going into the wall, as Mustache, I think, is into the pits now as well. So that is that setting done and dusted. Well, are we surprised?
I'll tell you what. I'm just looking at the stats here in this one. What's the difference between pole position or first place in Q1 and being knocked out of or being P15 was 0.261 seconds, less than 0.3 of a second in this one here, Warder. So we should be in for what will be inevitably a cracking race, especially when the top 5 are separated by less than a tenth. Brilliant.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. But I think that's what brings or makes Austria such a good track, because everyone's tyre, you've got to eke out the exact or as many milliseconds as you can to ensure you are. That's an horrendous camera angle. I remember racing. Like it's like third person camera for a car, and I've not done that since F1 1998, and it's horrendous. But let's go for qualifying one, and the top drivers are Owen, Lifebout, Yassir, Zinedine, Francesco, Oscu, Mustache, Nail, Lauren, Zach, Caden, Conway, Chris, Vidadal, Enzo, Nico, with drivers going out, crowding, Flame, Quantum, Hazara, and Prairie, Bell. I'm kind of surprised with Quantum there, but they just couldn't get a lap time hooked in the end.
Yeah, I think that's what it is, isn't it? Look, it's a social race. It's not a massive frustration. Hazara binning it straight into the wall is a big suggestion that he was frustrated throughout that Q1 session for whatever reason. So he starts P19. He's going to have to get a shift on from the race. But we are through to Q2 now. Top 15 will now head their way through, and this is where I would expect the knockout range to be a little bit closer. It was around about a second initially. Obviously, we had the bottom 5 having some real difficulties in setting a representative lap time, but nonetheless, less than 0.3 of a second separating the top 15. Could be tenths of a second between you being through in Q3 and being knocked out here, I think.
Yeah, it's not going to be much. But if you're one of these drivers, do you go on to a used set? Because if they've used that, do you? Because I know people don't like doing that.
100%. You start this Q2 session using a used set of softs and then strap on a fresh set of boots at the second part of this qualifying session. If anyone wants to take a third run, they're more than welcome to, but of course that will put them at a disadvantage if they do get through to Q3. And mind you, they will have the extra set of soft tyres available at their disposal if they do get through to Q3. So a couple of things to take into consideration there, but I would suspect that the majority of these lap times coming in now will be a used set of soft tyres.
We'll wait and see. Well, these tyres, I mean, I'm on board with Enzo right now. I know the Kick Sauber of the Yassir is just ahead, but they look used, which is quite nice to see, isn't it? You get that really shininess when on a fresh set, but it gives us commentators a little bit of an advantage. Well, a little bit of a heads up, but whether it's a used tyre or not.
Yeah, I could call out this one on Codemaster's point here. It would be ideal if we could see the amount of laps that the tyres have actually done, not the amount of tyres that they've done in the session. So at the moment, if you look to your left-hand side, folks, you'll see that it says soft 0 laps. Ideally, it would have been nice if we could see soft 2 or 3 laps, how old the tyres are, rather than how old they are versus the laps. And you can see how used they are on the rears as Enzo gets a horrendous snap going through turn 1. Well held, going back in the straight line, but no doubt dropping it straight back into none. And he'll have another go.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, a 17.2, that's a rather slow first sector with what we were seeing in the first session. I think that was comparative with the intermediate times that were coming in, which says a lot, as there's a few drivers behind. Everyone other than Owen is out on track, as there's a car, I think, getting in the way of Enzo. Is that the Alpine? I don't think Enzo's really caring, but if that was on a lap, he would be a bit unhappy with that one.
Yassir is going to be the first person to set a lap time then on this one, and the Kick Sauber chucking the car through the right-hander of 9, rear just about holding on, corner cut at 10 though, loses the rear. That's that lap over and done with, and he'll come across the line. Would have been a 4.0, very used set of tyres on this one, so it'll be Stack Styler to set the first lap time then. Not bad through turn 10, but very conservative, 103.873. We've got a 110.4 from Enzo, but remember, of course, he had that horrible turn 1 escapade, and he is now having another go straight away. He's actually recovered a lot of the battery to have another go on this one. He's just heading through into turn 3. It'll be interesting to see how the rears lock up. Is it just me, or are the conditions starting to grey up a little bit, Gareth?
Yeah, it's not looking as bright as it was earlier on. Maybe we are getting a little bit of cloud cover here, maybe a threat of rain in Q3. We've not said anything at all from that, but here is Nail Goulet going across the line. It's a 104, pretty much a 104 dead, 104.059. But I mean, something that we enjoyed last season quite a lot, even though in season 20 it was meant to be a mystery season with everything changing and not allowed to use the hard compounded tyres. We had quite a lot of interchangeable weather races, so maybe that's going to be a thing tonight as well. I wouldn't mind seeing that in Austria because it's like its own little.
Goes Enzo. Oh, big spin. Sorry to interrupt Gareth through turn 10. He was really pushing on those set of tyres. And to be fair, the rear was already snapping at 7. He could feel it going. He tried his hardest to hold on. He's gone for another spin. So that one's over and done with. Get into the pits. Get a fresh set of boots on, Sonny. Really struggling out there with a 110.4.
Yeah, that moment came at the same time as Chris having a moment at turn 6 as well. So I didn't know if it was your gasp was that Chris or something else.
Tyres are done. The tyres are all done, Gareth, at the end of the day. I think that is just a testament to the fact they're definitely all on used softs.
Yeah. Let's see. Anyone actually pushing on a lap? I don't think they are. Everyone wants... Well, and this is the thing. Even though you don't want to use a fresh set of tyres early to... You could lose it quite horrifically at turn 10 and end your qualifying if you're not lucky with a used set.
Yeah, got to be careful, haven't you, at the end of the day as well. I think this little lull in the action, as it looks like we've got Kick Sauber just coming into the pit lane, so no, we're not going to see anyone leaving the pits just yet. You know, this gives us all an opportunity in the lull to talk about the upcoming season of WOR, you know, though, Gareth. I'm looking forward to seeing what the drivers are all going to adapt to. They've all got to get used to a completely new game cycle. I think a lot of people have took to it very quickly. I think the likes of Styler, I think Oscu, I think Ryderdal, they have all taken to this game very quickly, as are the expectations, I think, of those drivers. I think over the last few game cycles, actually, they have pretty much been straight on it, but some maybe not so quickly on this occasion.
No, and we saw last week Ryderdal be really strong, and we thought Ryderdal might be one that to really watch out for with how much they've adjusted to the game and how quickly they've adjusted to it. But this week it doesn't seem like it's gone in the same direction.
No, not on this occasion, but nonetheless, at the moment, I think we're starting to see quite a few people on the old set of soft tyres at the moment for this particular occasion, so nobody's quite at their best for this one, but one thing is for certain, and you can see if we go on board, if you don't mind, with Nico, Gareth, look at the shininess of the new soft tyres that are on that Ferrari. Obviously, the dulcet tones of the grey compound that is the soft tyres when they're old can really ruin a lap for a lot of people, as we've actually seen in this qualifying session so far. But a fresh set of soft tyres, getting them nice and warm. Nico will no doubt be the fastest person if he keeps it within track limits. The question is by how much?
Let's see what Nico can do then down into, well, I say down into turn 1. It's got to go uphill. The elevation change is quite steep up there, isn't it, into turn 1, and hooking it around, and it looks really good. You can tell they're new, they're fresh tyres, can't you? With just how well that the car turned into the corner. DRS open as they head on into turn number 3, and it's nice and steady again this time. No snap of oversteer, which we've seen a lot tonight.
Yeah, could have put the power down a bit earlier at turn 1, but he maximised his grip, definitely coming out of 3. We'll see how he is then coming into 4. Wanted to keep the car close to the curb as he possibly can. Get on the power early, not able to do so as the car washed out wide ever so slightly. Then coming through then into what is turn 5, turn 6. Left-hander, nicely taken, actually. First person I've seen actually take that apex about right, actually. Going through 7, misses his apex, will wash out wide, but nicely done. Purple in the second sector, no doubt, and no surprises there. As he then heads through into turn 9, takes a lot of curb on the outside line, misses his apex, can't get the power down early, so therefore he's going to struggle going through 10. He extends his track limits, and that is his lap over and done with. Would have been a 1:03.6, and I tell you what, that's not actually a very good lap time on a fresh set of soft tyres in Q2.
No, that's quite surprising with how well it looked like it had hooked up. But Lawrence is on a lap time now, coming into turn 9. Had some traffic through the tricky... Oh, and it's sideways. It's sideways for the Red Bull and into the pits. That's not ideal. Enzo has just finished their lap, or just started a lap, I think. Oscu then, I think, is the next driver to set a lap time.
Turn 4 as well, Gareth, as well. A lot of people are finding a bit of difficulty with traction out on the circuit. I'm wondering if there's a bit of track devolution happening at the moment, because the pure mechanical grip has fallen completely off a cliff, and I'm wondering if it's because of the cloud cover has reduced the track temperature out there, and it's really caught a few people off guard here. Oscar will have another go. He's had to basically do a bit of a double outlap effectively, and he will now have another go here. 1:10.5 is what it would have been on that occasion, of course, not representative. Chucking the car through the right-hander of one. Rear, you can see just getting the power down a lot quicker to get that front end turn before he ends up washing out wide. Then he'll head through towards turn 3, and he'll try and go late as he can on the brakes. Bit of a lock-up, and the Francesco Largo first person to set a representative lap time, 1:03.2. It's the fastest of the session so far. Keep an eye out then as he goes through into turn 4. This is where we've seen a lot of people struggle at this corner here. We saw Oscar earlier on, and now Oscar just gets it right on this occasion.
Yeah, that's big for Oscar, and well, a second installation lap effectively is probably not going to help those tyres, but he has to do something as they're heading on through, turn into turn 7 now. 8/10 of a second, and that's done his lap time. Owen, a 1:03.1, quite a big margin improvement on that one. Lifeboat now just behind Oscar on track, but coming into turn 9, let's see what they can do on this occasion. We've seen Lauren's been there out of turn 9, but this time nothing wrong for Lifeboat, and across the line for the Mercedes driver for this evening, but it's only a 1:03.3. This is going to be interesting as their teammate goes into 4th. It's a Mercedes lockout there. Is Yassir on a lap or just starting a lap? I believe Zinedine is invalidated. Enzo, where are you on track? Being caught behind a Haas, but I think this is still a quick lap for Enzo. He's coming into the final corner now.
Yeah, mid 1:03.4s, I think, is what the cutoff is going to be here. Here comes Enzo. It's only a 1:03.489, and I would expect, actually, he might be a little bit at risk here. And both of the Ferraris struggled to get through in Q1, and I think they're probably going to find that that is not going to be quite good enough, if not very close, to be honest with you as well. Yeah, Sia struggling as well in the second sector. He is flying in the first here. Not too bad, actually, by the looks of things, as he chucks the car through the left-hander. Not so bad going through the left-hander. Try not to use too much of that curb. You'll wash out wide. Decent. And using a lot of the curb actually on the exit there for Yassir. Coming through then the final corner. You want to keep it nice and cool and nice and easy if you can. Chucks the car through the right-hander. Very nicely taken there from the kick Sauber. Is it going to be touching anywhere near the front? P5. Another 1:03.4.
Yeah, Francesco's happy with their lap time, and that's it. They think they're through with a 1:03.2. I would be inclined to agree as well. Yassir with a 1:03.4. I think that should be safe. I think the latter end of the 1:03.4s may be in trouble, but I think that the 1:03.415 should be safe enough right now. Sorry, I should have said at the start of the stream. We are going through each qualifying phase tonight. So we are in Q2 right now. So let us know who you think is going to be in the drop zone for Q2 in the chat, if you don't mind. And well, the way things stand, Yotta, as Nico goes across, well, just about to start a lap time, who's obviously the drivers in the bottom 5 right now are at risk. But who's the major ones do you think is going to drop out?
Enzo is definitely at risk, I think, if that's the best he can produce. I will be... remember, though, you've got to remember that when it comes to the fastest lap, Niall Gio did his 1:03.682 on 2-lap-old soft tyres. Styler did a 1:03.8 on the old set of tyres, and Mustache similarly did his 1:04 on the old set. I do think a mid 1:03.4 is probably where the drop zone is going to be, as Nico has actually just gone straight into the gravel. I don't know if he actually abandoned his lap a lot earlier on, so really struggling out there with grip as the sun is just starting to peek through the Styrian mountains. I do expect 1:03 mid 1:03.4s will be pretty much where the drop zone is. I think there's more time in Gio. There's definitely a lot more time in Styler, Mustache, Conway, definitely Oscar, definitely Hajaj. Kind of surprised the Ferraris are struggling out here tonight, though. So, if I have to say this, if they can't keep it clean at the moment, Enzo might get away with it. Otherwise, he's going to be looking over his shoulder.
You could very well be correct there, as Zinedine then is Zinedine Hajaj on a lap, heading down into turn 4. Yet to set a representative lap time in this session. We know someone from the seasons past that they are able to be at the top end of the on their day at the top end of the grid. Let's see what happens there. It looked like the back end stepped a little bit out at the exit of turn 6 there, so it could be detrimental to their lap time.
Yeah, could be a little bit of a risky one here for him on this one. I'm still keeping an eye out on Nico. He's matched his first sector, which, to be fair, has actually been quite competitive, closer to Francesco Largo in the first sector, so that's no concern. It's the second sector where the majority of his time has been lost in this qualifying, and he's lost it even more time going wide there. We've got the Kick Sauber just coming across the line right now, though. He will only go P10. With a 103.515, so I think Nico is about to beat that one, to be honest with you. He's coming through turn 9, then into turn 10. Is he going to wash out wide? Oh, he's done the same thing as Nico and washed out wide. It would have been a 103.490. He puts it into the wall out of pure frustration, and he starts no higher than P14.
That is real frustration there for Nico. Caden Conway then through into turn 9, currently P13, but up on their lap time. The car is lagging a little bit, so I'm not sure, and there's an invalidation, though. That is the RB done and dusted. Lawrence has a chance to then get themselves off. No, an invalidation again. Nail, your time to shine. You're 3/10 of a... Oh, no, that's not 3/10 of a second up. You're just about to start a light time. Let's see what they can do. Enzo, that is, yeah, much, much better. 103.1. But did they use an extra tyre when they possibly could have put that lap time in earlier on?
Nope, they're very, very good, actually. Lap time on an old set of soft tyres at that point that had been used by already another lap. And it would have been a 103.187, so it's a great lap, actually, on a more used set of tyres. So he's actually still got that fresh set of soft tyres available in Q3 Extra, which is going to be very handy if any mistake occurs. I'm looking to see if now Gio improves. He has improved about a 1/10.5 in the second sector, so looking to try and get into the realms of the mid-104s if he can to get through. We'll be hoping to get to the 103.3s, actually, to instill a bit of confidence going through into Q3. Here comes Gio, and he's knocked out by 103.499. Very close margins indeed, but in the end, one driver that would have actually got through would have been Chris. He actually crashed out of pure frustration for invalidating his lap time, but he's actually through with a 103.431, but he won't be taking part.
That's crazy from Chris as into the pits as you see her. And there is, well, just looking in the chat, and drivers are whether in the console tier 1 chat, and yeah, about the whole crashes, they're crashing and qualifying on purpose, but it is a social for a reason. They're not gonna, they're unlikely to get punished in a social race. It's not unheard of, but very, very unlikely, as we have lost 5 drivers from Q2. That's Nail, Oscu, Caden Conway, Nico and Lawrence, as we see the Mercedes, well, the tyre twitching of Chris on the start-finish line. What's your major surprise out of the Q2 exits?
Chris, because he should have made it into Q3, but he crashed it on purpose out of pure frustration because he didn't have any confidence in his lap, but he actually would have been through, and as I said, around about mid-104s is probably where the drop zone would have been, and Chris would have actually been through, but unfortunately it'll only be 9 that go through. But fair play to Enzo, by the way, put a lot of pressure on him after a poor Q1, fastest in Q2. So
it's Enzo, Owen, Francesco, Zinedine, Mustache, Ryderdal, Zach, Lifebout and Yasir are your drivers that will take place in the next qualifying session, with no qualifying for Chris, Nail, Oscu, Caden, Nico and Lawrence. I still can't believe that, to be perfectly honest, from Chris, to be but yeah, surprised with Oscu being in that drop as well. Showed some pace early on, just wasn't, well, in the first qualifying session, just wasn't there then.
Disappointing stuff nonetheless from Chris, in my opinion, but we will move on to Q3 then. So it will be the 9 drivers in Q3 pitching it out for pole. I don't know what your favourite is here, Gareth, but for me, suddenly it opens up the doors for potential Ferrari pole here, with Sabaton able to flex his muscles on, remember, not a new set of soft tyres either. So it would be another set of old tyres on this occasion. Might be enough time for 3 laps, so they're both of the new set of soft tyres will be used in this session here. Love to know your favourite as well. If you are watching, let us know in the comments.
Be great to hear everyone's opinion. I don't know why. I think Owen is definitely a driver to watch for all this, and Francesco's put some good time in, and Zach. I don't know. They've all got to Q3, so they've all got good opportunities to go further and take that pole position tonight. You know, I'm going to go Owen. I think Owen's going to be for pole. Chat, let us know, like Jota has asked you nicely to do. And for yourself, who's your favourite for this one?
Well, it's the last time that I will perhaps be saying this for a very long time in the esports community. So I will say that Top Tier Motorsport will get pole position tonight in Mustache. All hail TTM, and we give full credits to the likes of Mustache for what's been a fabulous last season in the F1 24. So go on then, let's chuck a tenner on TTM because it'll be the last time I do so.
Yeah, got to support the team, haven't you? And yeah, Mustache, let's see what they can do. Drivers out on lap, but Owen isn't. Owen is deciding to stay into the pits. So let's go on board with the Haas driver of Ryder Dahl, who should be the first driver to set a lap time today. So it's yellow flags for drivers heading into turn number 10.
Here we go then. So remember, these will be a U set of soft tyres on this occasion, so I'm not expecting blisteringly quick lap times. Ria already stepping out for Enzo. He's really not happy, and I think that will be one to keep an eye out on with Enzo, actually, because if the rear is stepping out with a U set of tyres, I can't imagine what a U set of tyres with a load of fuel in the back will feel like for that Ferrari. Chucks the car through the right-hander, gets a bucket of understeer as he does the Fernando Alonso technique of over-rotating the steering wheel. Going through then into turn 4, we're going to see more of that one, I wonder, from Enzo. Chucks the car exactly the same. You can see the steering wheel now firmly back on the desk of Enzo and out of the bin. Chucking then the car through turn 6. You'll want to keep the car nice and cool and nice and easy towards the apex. He misses it ever so slightly. Here he comes again missing the curb. He misses the apex. Car will wash out wide. Not the cleanest of second sectors indeed from Enzo, as he then chucks the car through the right-hander of 9 and then once again through 10. Keep it nice and tight without crossing the track limits, and that is exactly how you want to take turn 10 in the race and in qualifying. Initial set though, 103.9. It's well off the pace.
Yeah, it's what we were expecting though, wasn't it? Zinedine then coming through into turn 9. Back end stepping out again, but managing to keep it in as they come through turn 10. Across the line for then Zinedine is a 103.6. Mustache with a 103.8. Zach Styler with a 103.651.
Yasia, what's happening here? We've got a little bit of a situation forming between Yasia and the Ferrari of Enzo Sabaton. It looks like they were just racing each other going through into turn 1, and I'm not entirely sure what the pair of them were doing there. I think Yasia was definitely on a lap, but obviously now he's had to abandon it because he was in a little bit of a weird racing scenario there with Enzo. How peculiar.
Yeah, we'll have to. Well, I'm sure it will come out in the wash in the Console Tier 1 chat later on. So, Francesco then on a lap time seem to. I don't know. It just doesn't seem. They're on. Oh no, they're into the pits. Is it? No, maybe. I don't know. It just doesn't seem very fast. No, into the pits for the Red Bull. It did seem very off, unfortunately.
Yeah, he depleted his battery, actually, going through there. He completely depleted it as he was leaving turn 7. So that's the reason why it looked a little bit slow, because he wouldn't have been able to even get into 8th gear. So we're straight to the pit lane. Only 4 people have set a lap time in this session. 7.5 minutes to go. Fresh set of tyres and a fresh, well, maybe a fresh set of tyres and a fresh bit of fuel for everyone here. One person who's falling a little bit out of sequence with everyone, though, is this man Owen in the McLaren Mercedes. He's just approaching turn 3 on his outlap as he warms his tyres up. Can't quite tell if they're a new set. I think they are an old set of tyres on Owen's car.
They look old. There's a little bit of shine to them, so maybe it was because they did go out on a lap time and then invalidated in Q2. So I'm wondering if this is that tyre, or maybe. Have they got enough time to do 2 laps even at this point? I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, they will. It could set if it's around about 1 minute 20 in lap. You got about a minute on the actual lap time, so 2.5 minutes, then 3 minutes 40. Yeah, you'll have enough time if you leave now to get a couple of lap times in, I would suspect.
It's going to be, it might be tight. We'll wait and see. Just about to start a lap time anyway for the McLaren driver, Owen, up into turn number 1. And right now, maybe power down a little bit too early, but didn't go well. Hit the sausage curb on the exit of turn 1, but not an invalidation as they come through turn 2. Little kink to the left-hand side there. It's a 15.7 for sector 1. And through again, turn 3 seems to be... Well, there's a few corners which are problematic tonight. It looks like turn 3, turn 4, turn 7 and turn 10 seems to be the major sticking points for these drivers tonight.
Owen's overdriving the car, in my opinion. He's really taking a lot of acceleration out of the corners, so he's trying to maximise it there. That's what I mean about that curb. Don't hit that curb because you will spin out very horribly, and that's exactly what's happened to Owen. He will now have to have another go at this one. I think he'll be able to come in and get a fresh set of tyres on, but he'll have no lap to his name. I tell you what, though, he is really pushing that car. He's going through the corner and then he's getting the power down early, and you can hear the engine rattling as it tries to put the power through the rear tyres. So Owen should dive into the pit lane, get a fresh set of tyres on if I were him. I know, is he going to continue? He is continuing. I'd say, to be honest with you, that's a little bit unwise.
Yeah, that doesn't seem ideal for Owen. Well, 1:16.9 for that first lap time. Lifebout has invalidated their lap time on their lap, which is not ideal for them. So they're going to have to go again. Francesco coming through then. They're going to do their lap time with 5 minutes of the session remaining. Purple in sector 2, which is to be expected without having set a lap time initially. Let's see what the Red Bull driver for this evening can do. Into the final corner, rounding it, but it looks like gone a little bit wide, but still within the track limits apparently. And across the line, it's a 1:03.047 to set us off with.
Not a bad lap time indeed. I think the 1:02.9s are probably where we're going to be seeing pole position. 1:03.1 for Ryder-Dahl. I'm keeping an eye on Owen. He has gone purple in the second sector, but I think that's because it was an invalid... Oh, no, actually, it's not an invalid. He did set a lap time, so actually might be close here. Here he comes through then, turn 10. Oh, he's invalidated. Gone too close to the inside curb. What lap time would it have been? 1:03.3 is what it would have been for the McLaren. But he's now got to be perfectly candid with you, get around this circuit as fast as possible because he's got very limited time left.
Yeah, yes, very limited. Same with Lifebout as well as going across the line. 1:03.1 for Lifebout. Just slower than Ryder-Dahl. Sorry, I just saw it's a yellow flag that popped up, which confused me.
Oh, you're not going to believe this one. Sorry to interrupt, Gareth. Owen's out of fuel. I'm pretty sure he's out of fuel here. He's got the red light on. Is he out of fuel? No, forgive me. Sorry. I thought he was out of fuel. His engine did a very weird rattling sound, which suggested to me he was out of fuel, but I think he's just okay.
Yeah, sounds okay for the time being. Let's go on board with actual on board just above the... Yes. Is that out of fuel?
Yes, both of them are. Owen and Lifebout are both out of fuel. Now, usually we wouldn't really care, but with this amount of time left in qualifying, you don't want to be slow around the circuit getting back to the pit lane. So thankfully for Owen, he just ran out of fuel as he was entering the pit lane. Lifebout, on the other hand, ran out going through turn 6, so he's lost precious seconds. Is he going to be able to get out with enough time? He's got to get in, park up and leave again. That'll take around about 50 seconds. He should be okay, but it will be close.
He's also got to get out of the way of other drivers on lap times as well, which could cause issues. Enzo then coming through turn 7 to start their one and final lap time. Well, if they invalidate, they could go again, but this is their last real running for the Ferrari driver, who managed to scrape it through in Q2. Well, I say scrape it through, they set the fastest lap, didn't they? But it looked like the pressure was on, but they managed to get it sorted. What can Enzo do this time of asking? Heading into turn 1, gets caught on the sausage curb, pulls out of their lap.
Not a bad idea, actually, from Enzo, because it was always going to be get off the power and lose all the time down this straight and keep your lap, or lose your lap and waste your tyres. So if I were him, Just get off of the power and have another go at it. And that's exactly what he's done. So he'll go for a second out lap. Keep the tyres warm. You've got plenty of time for another one, son. Keep it up.
Let's see what TTM Moustache can do then. Moustache will be the first of the final times being thrown on the board, but there's a Ferrari that could be in their way as they head on through turn 5, and the Ferrari nicely gets out of the way as they head into turn 6, but I wonder if the dirty air has caused any issues. Doesn't look like it. It's looking very, very smooth for Moustache at the moment. 0.5 of a second up. Can they claim any more? They can't, because they've invalidated on the exit of turn 7 into 8. It's not ideal for some of these drivers out here right now.
Unfortunately, he's used his tyres and he's also used up his ERS as well. So, sorry, I tried to say TTM for pole, but that will be it for Moustache here. He'll be starting no higher than P6, and if anything, I think he's at real risk of potentially starting as low as P10 here. Zinedine Hijaj coming across the line. 1:03.0, track evolution becoming a real factor now, as Largo has also just started his lap. We'll see what his turn 1's like. Very nicely taken from the Red Bull. He's in sharp here. I said 2.9 possibly could be pole here.
See what they can do. Zach Styler up on their lap time as they come around the final corner. Can Zach Styler do anything on this time? It's a 1:14, which is quicker than Ryder Dahl. Only just Ryder Dahl's just about to start their lap time as we now go back on board with Francesco Largo as they're coming through turns 4 into turn 5. Well, it's looking like Francesco can do a real great lap time here. Coming into, let's see what it will be. Oh, it's just going to be into the 102s if they can keep this pace up.
Not bad indeed as well from the Red Bull. It will be a bit of a sneaky one into the 102.9s. Here he comes through then, the right-hander. Want to keep it nice and cool, nice and easy through the final corner. He's a bit wide. He'll watch out. And is he validated? What would it have been as he comes across the line? Ah, 102.972. Really disappointing that he'll not make it into the 102s. Other people could do so, though. Styler is not going to be improving. He's down by 2 seconds. Ryder Dahl is improving, though. He's found about a 10th, and he's gone out wide as well, going through turn 7. Owen looking to improve. He's gone fastest in the second sector, would you believe, has the McLaren. He's trying to keep it as close as he can. He's depleting his battery very early, though. Chucking the car through the right-hander of 9. He's clipped the curb underneath. That'll cost him time. Very well taken through turn 10, though. We'll see where Owen goes as it comes across the line. It won't be anywhere near the top 3, I don't think. I think it was third. No, it was third in the end for the McLaren, but it would be very close margins indeed. I have a feeling it's going to be less than 2/10 between the top 4. Oh, it's less than 1/10 of a second between the top 6, would you believe? Fantastic.
What a set of lap times, barely separated. And fair play for Owen for going and getting himself into there. But look at Zinedine there as well with a great lap time. So it's Francesco, Zinedine, Owen, Zach Styler, Ryder Dahl, Enzo Sabaton, Lifebout, Moustache, and Yassir there as well. And Chris will be kicking themselves, thinking where they could have been had they not crashed out in Q2. What a qualifying that was, especially in Q3 there. Highly entertaining and, well, something we weren't expecting.
Well, we were expecting it to be as close as we think the grid was always going to be in the end of the day. You know, the top 6 separated by less than a 10th. There's absolutely no surprise in this particular league. So that should make for a very interesting race ahead. I'm going to be keeping a very firm eye on strategy as everyone switches over between a choice of either hard or medium tyres. But really, really close stuff indeed, as Enzo Sabaton going absolutely mental in the chat, saying P6, oh my god, with no pedals, oh my god. So clearly still suffering from hardware issues at the moment is Enzo. Not a bad effort indeed to get, especially within a 10th of the pole position lap time in the end. But really good stuff, that. Really, really interesting. And that should make for not just a very good social race in the end, but also potentially a really good season ahead as well, I wonder, Gareth.
Yeah, definitely, I think. And I'm just questioning in my head how he's using a wheel. And so is he using the wheel and the controller at the same time? Is that even possible?
I think what he means when he says no pedals, like he is speaking in hyperbole, that perhaps he's got pedal issues and he's just managing the issue potentially. But either way, really, really good effort from Enzo to get within that close margin. Brilliant.
And if he is doing it without any pedals, that's even better. Who's gonna take victory here tonight, do you think, Jota?
Oh, that's a rough question. That's a really rough question when the top 6 are all separated by a tenth of a second. So, shall we just say that it's going to be a valiant victory for Top Tier Motorsport in their final social race in WOR through Mustache? Shall we just say that one? Yeah, go on then. Why not? We'll say Mustache gets win purely because it'd be nice to see TTM get their final win here before they depart from esports.
Fair play. Let's hope for the best for them, and maybe TTM Crowding can do something from there. And from down in 16th place, we'll have to wait and see. Chat, let us know if you think it's going to be a TTM, or whether you think someone else, maybe TRT Nico, who showed promise early on and then it all went to pot through that. I'm guessing it should be a typical one lap race, one stop race here, unless there's safety cars. It's a typical medium hard, or hard medium, I should say.
Variety of tyres being used. We've seen a lot of people electing to use the mediums. Got a few hards on the cars as well. We've got Lifeboat electing to start on a hard as it stands. Conway down in P13 alongside Nico in 14th, also on hard on the 7th row. On the 8th row, Flame also on a set of hard tyres. And on the 10th row, Hazara also electing to start on a hard. But that could change. It's very subject to change. Before we get going, and just want a quick correction, by the way, he didn't say pedal, he said paddle. So it might be paddles. He might be using an automatic gearbox.
Oh my goodness. That is interesting. Interesting indeed. But yes. Wow. Okay. That just... it still impresses me how people can perform at a high level with various hardware issues, because I know I would just get too frustrated and go, nope, that's it, I'm done. So fair play to Enzo Sabaton for pushing through on this one. We should be getting racing very, very shortly. It looks like the drivers are eager to go, and yeah, we'll wait and see what the tyre strategies will be for it all. As you quite rightly mentioned, there's a few drivers. Majority of the drivers set to mediums right now, but the hard compounder tyres are... I don't know, I've always found, so far in this game, the hard tyres are better to start on because the higher, the heavier the car, you wear the mediums a little bit too much. I could be wrong with that, though.
Not so sure. I mean, you've got to look after your tyres in this particular game cycle. It's critical that the drivers go out of their way to make sure that they do take care of the tyres. And because with all the engines going, the hills are alive with the sound of engines.
And they're
no more waiting. Let's go racing.
And away we go, going into turn 1, and it looks perfect for Owen trying to go around the outside, and Zach Styler's trying to get involved as well. Whoa! There's a mistake. The Aston Martin is dropping down the field, and that's Zach Styler and Owen fighting away. There's gaggle of car, and it's all fighting on.
Oh, Zach Styler, what a start from him in the Alpine, going around the outside line. Then no moves are going to be taken. Maybe a little bump up the bomb from the Red Bull there potentially, but the McLaren still going side by side. They're 3 wide for third, fourth, and fifth at the moment. This is going to be magnificent stuff. Got to keep it nice and cool and nice and easy. It's going to be squeezed potentially. Ryderdahl's going to be off as well. It's going to be really close stuff around the outside line. How they have managed to keep their front wings, I do not know, but they're still side by side as Ryderdahl eventually gives up the position for P5. Fantastic.
What a start through this race that is indeed. And it's still going on between Ryderdahl and Enzo Sabaton, who's trying to fight it going on. Oh, there's all going over everywhere. XPG Flame in the background's out, well, pretty much out of this Grand Prix as it stands. Yassir holding station at the moment, but my goodness me, it is all over the place.
Crikey, right, so that's a lap 1. You think you misspoke early saying that it's all going to be done on lap 1. I tell you what, immediately out of the block, Zach Styler, he's definitely got some kind of race pace sign set up on at the moment, because the car has absolutely come alive. Now, granted, he is on a set of medium tyres, but the problem is everyone everyone else is around him. So really found the pace out there in the Alpine. Here comes the McLaren, looking like he's putting a bit of pressure, Owen, on Zinedine Hijaj. He's going to use a little bit of his overtake here to try and get the move done down the inside line. Will Zinedine defend it? He will not. So they will go side by side going into the next corner. Grip is going to be available for the McLaren, and he promotes himself now back up to P3 as Zinedine Hijaj is actually using none. He's trying to recharge his battery.
Not ideal. Probably used a fair amount defending from Zach and everything that all the gaggle of cars going into turn 4 earlier doors. We've got both Williams into the pits on a set of soft tyres now. Nico and Caden there at the back of the grid on their hard compounded tyres as we stay on board with Zinedine for 4th place for the time being as they head on down. And Zach Styler, 3-second time penalty already for Nico, which is not ideal for Nico as Owen sits the fastest lap of the race, which is kind of expected with how quick they were going and being able to overtake Zinedine through there as well. But Zach is doing a very good job at the front of this grid right now.
Tell you one thing though, as the race is just starting to kick off a little bit now, Zach and Owen going down towards turn 3 at that particular point had about 70% ERS, whereas Francesco's got 90. So early on, it looks like that the Red Bull, despite the fact that he's lost the lead of this race, is very happy, he's very content, happy to just stick behind the Alpine, just keep him under all sorts of pressure.
Oh, up the inside from Lifebout into Enzo. It turns 6. You don't often see that. That is very, very opportunistic there. It looked like Enzo was initially held off the position, the Lifebout into turn 4, and then, Lifebout just threw his car up the inside into turn 6. And Enzo's lost a fair whack of time with that as well, as a penalty for Lawrence down in 15th, as Hazara has dropped behind the 2 hard runners. So action still kicking off in various points in this race.
Enzo making a mistake at turn 1. We've seen a lot of that through qualifying from Enzo, and he's actually put himself under pressure from Chris here. Remember, Chris actually had the pace to potentially be in the competing fight, but loses the rear going through the corner on the outside and can't get the position off of Enzo on this occasion. You know, Chris has the pace to potentially be in there, but of course deciding to crash out of Q2 as a result of a lap time that was invalid, despite the fact that he actually made it through to Q3. So he's going to have to work his way back up, and he definitely does have the pace. He just needs to capitalise on any of the mistakes that Enzo makes, and turn 1 is certainly going to be a hot spot for him.
Let's see how it will continue to pan down, and I'm sure that is going to be on some sort of out of context WOR throughout the season, crashing out even though you made it into Q3. Owen unable to match Francesco just yet as they come on through. Zach Styler has just got the measure of everyone right now for pace, but we'll have to wait and see if that continues as through turn 1 it looked like a little bit of a mistake, and Francesco maybe catching the Alpine just a little bit.
Ooh, I tell you what, off of the turn 1, Chris is so much more faster versus Enzo. He is a lot more keen to get on the acceleration pedal, on the big loud pedal on his right foot. Is Chris versus Enzo, but at the moment it's very much status quo between the pair of them. Here's Owen. Is Owen going to go for the dive on Francesco? Francesco just making a little bit of a late move to the inside in order to try and just keep Owen at bay. But I think Francesco's starting to feel a little bit of the pace now. He's used a little bit more of his ERS. He's now matching the likes of that versus Owen. But Zach is also feeling the pressure from Owen as well, because he's actually down to around about 50% of his ERS, and that's as a result is going to actually pose a little bit of a threat for Zach. If he keeps using his overtake, he's going to be a sitting duck. Yeah,
there's got to be a bit of a... Zach's got to play a game a little bit here, I think, at certain points. But will we see if and how strong the engine damage is in this game tonight with the DRS trains that we're getting, and you're stuck behind everyone, and maybe that's what Zach can use to his advantage. These drivers having to pull out in the background. I think that is now being passed by Ryder Dahl, who's trying to get back up the way through the grid. Maybe we'll see that. Maybe we'll see engine overheating, not damage, overheating.
Damage overheating is a thing in this particular game. If you're following too many DRS detection points, the game will naturally, well, the sensors on the car, if you will naturally decrease the power in order to avoid the engine getting overheated and damaged. So it's going to be important that the drivers manage that one accordingly, because, of course, with this particular game cycle, EA's point is to try and reduce the amount of DRS trains that formulate in the races. But at the moment, so far, lap 6 of 36, with the 6th of this race completely done. At the moment, DRS trains forming from first all the way as far down as 14th.
There's a break in the train, obviously, at that point from Lawrence just behind the hard runners who are swapping positions into the pit for Nico. It looks like maybe front wing damage, maybe that's why, as the front runners still nose to tail pretty much at this point. Not really seeing much of Zinedine in this at the moment. They are just quite happy, just sitting waiting to see if there is any explosions or fireworks just ahead. But at the moment, Francesco trying to find a way through the Alpine of Zach Styler for the lead of this Grand Prix on lap 7 of 36.
Keeping a firm eye on Owen then, as he's just putting that pressure on Francesco once again. A bit more of an ERS management strategy from second and third place. Ever the professionals, Owen and Francesco, are in the racing scene. Well, minus, I suppose, of in their battle with Epic Fail, but that's a different kettle of fish with Owen. Them two have been able to manage their ERS accordingly and now hovering around about 100%. Zach Styler, on the other hand, still at 55, so he's certainly feeling the pressure of second and third place. He's still holding on from the lead, but he is going to be a sitting duck eventually.
Yeah, you do wonder, though, you know, when you're a racer, you don't want to let anyone past, but maybe at some stage into turn 4, letting Francesco go and just recovering a little bit and then trying to take the lead back more towards the end. But overall, Zach seems to get a better exit out of a lot of these corners, but that could be down to more of the ERS usage as they head on into turn number 3. Owen looks very close to the back end of the Red Bull, which we see quite often in real life F1. The McLaren and the Red Bull quite close together, or Max Verstappen and the McLarens close together, I should say. But at the moment, Francesco not able to get past, and Owen not able to get through either, and everyone else just happy to go along for the ride right now.
Bad lap time from Francesco at the moment, really keeping Zach Styler on his toes. Owen actually losing just a little bit of ground to Largo here, as he's looking to just try and manage the pace. In fact, fastest second sector of anyone so far from Francesco Largo, so definitely keeping in touching distance at the moment of Zach Styler. Flame, 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Having an absolutely atrocious race at the moment is the Williams boy. Both Williams boys really struggling at the moment as the DRS available and with the ERS being used. Francesco Largo just starting to get a little bit closer to Zach Styler, but a great exit out of turn 10 means Owen is just keeping that pressure on.
Got pits for a few drivers as well. A yellow flag for someone that looks like, is that Caden Conway into the wall? We might have to, I don't really want to go back. I just want to stay on board with the leaders right now. We've got pits for drivers anyway on lap 9 of 36. The hard compounded tyres going on for Enzo, Mustache and Nail as they all coming through and out of the pit lane now. Does Francesco go? No. Is this early for pit stops on the medium compounded tyres, or is this what you expected?
A little bit early. Maybe there is potentially a 2-stop on the cards here for the drivers as they are just trying to manage it. But I would suspect it's a little bit early because they're trying to catch those in front off guard, because of course the tyre compounds do wear out quite thin, as Largo's made a bit of a mistake. He's washed out wide at turn 7, and that's allowed Owen to get really up close his bottom, but unfortunately Largo not able to Owen not able to make any moves, as Zinedine Hijaj has decided he's had enough of these medium tyres. Perhaps in the old game, you probably take the mediums to around about lap 14, lap 15, nearly halfway. So the fact that pitting this early is a really good sign here that the tyres do wash out quite quickly.
Yeah, as Matteo saying in the chat that it could be a 2-stop strategy. Don't forget, this is a track where the season 20 title was decided, and it was decided with a puncture. And 10-second penalty there for Caden, as that's not ideal, and has left the session as well. So some of these drivers might push that and maybe rue the mistake, or not rue the mistake that we had from the champion that was, the driver that didn't get the championship last season because of that puncture. We'll have to wait and see. But Zach Styler still leads this one on lap 10 and refusing to pit.
Yeah, no surprises Conway's decided to retire. Remember, this is a social race. So everyone's obviously just trying to get a hold, trying to get an understanding of the game. And at the end of the day, if you're not finding any confidence in this particular game, there's no point harming your confidence further. So he's decided to leave on this occasion. A little mistake from Zach coming out of turn 1, losing the rear ever so slightly. Well held, those he uses some of his ERS to power down the main straight, but he's still got a deficit of around about 30% versus Francesco Largo. Mustache setting the fastest lap at this race so far on a hard tyre, 106.5, and that might just mean that the medium tyres between P1 and P8 be looking over their shoulders a little bit.
Yeah, I think so. Well, Hazara is way off the pace, unfortunately. There's 11-second gap between Hazara and Ryder Dahl in P7, so not sure what's happened to the RB car of Hazara. And, well, maybe there is a quite clear difference or differentiation between the 2-stop and the 1-stop. Maybe it's going to be a medium-hard medium for the drivers from 9th down, pushing and really getting the most out of those tyres. But into the pits come some drivers now. Zach and Owen go, while the rest of those group do not from the lead.
I have a gut feeling here that Zach and Owen are in a little bit of trouble when it comes to traffic, though. Here we comes then. So we've got Owen now just leaving the pit box now. The Alpine of Zach doing exactly the same thing. Enzo Sabaton is just now approaching the turn 1 complex. There's the traffic. Now, this is the situation report. If you're committed to the undercut, you're in a better position versus everyone else, and that is exciting to look at as we've got more people overtaking. Enzo just getting Hazara done. Remember, Hazara on an old set of medium tyres that he started on, so he's not racing with those around him at the moment. Mustache now up to P9 and potentially on the brink of a podium position here, but of course, if it is a 2-stop race, that's going to obviously mix things up a little bit. One thing is for certain, though, that the undercut is very powerful.
It certainly is. Zinedine Haddad, getting past Enzo for what is technically the net lead of this Grand Prix right now. Mustache getting past Hazara, but there's a little bit of a gap now forming between themselves and Enzo as into the pits goes Francesco, as you see staying out on track for the time being. Oh, sorry, I thought that was Yassir dropping down the order, but it's Francesco there, as we'll stay on board with this front group for the time being. But Francesco's going to get eaten alive, just like everyone else, but saying that, that's a full course yellow.
Full course yellow now out on circuit. I'm trying to figure out if we've got a virtual safety car. I think it's a virtual safety car out on circuit now, as everyone will now slow down to just 40% of their usual racing speed. Now, not sure what's caused that collision, but one thing is for certain is that if any one of the top 4 are anywhere near the pit stops, which they're not, that would actually be a great opportunity to try and overcut those that committed to a really, really powerful undercut. So if this VSC stays out long, they could be in a really good position here. We'll see as they're just going through turn 6.
And Francesco managing to stay ahead of Owen by going an extra lap, because that VSC came out, well, right at the end of their pit station, so it was just enough to do it. But we're back racing again, and through goes Owen up into turn 6. Didn't want to be held up by Hazara there. That is some opportunistic moves from the McLaren driver.
Every possibility of that potentially working out in favour. Yassir, so unfortunate from Yassir. He gets a 10-second penalty for speeding the pit lane. He retires as well, so he was actually in really good position to potentially do quite well, but he's chosen to end this race here, and what is going to be a big shocker for XPG Flame, now up to P17 as a result of this one, so he'll be happy that he's at least now out of the foot of the table. Keeping an eye on Chris and Lifebout then, the pair of them on a completely different strategy as it stands so far, but advantage falling for the likes of Zinedine Hajjaj, now overtaking Enzo and now leading this race, and big up TTM who are on the podium.
Defending absolutely tooth and nail from Zach Styler behind though, and the back end of Mustache struggled there, and Zach Styler through on the TTM driver, but it's still side by side as they head on through turn 6. Mustache not giving up on this one. Zach Styler's got the grip, surely not gonna. Yeah, there's the position, unfortunately conceded for Mustache there as Zach Styler goes into P6 and onto the podium positions on the net race.
I say. Needs to do better than that one on Mustache. Can defend that one by just forcing your teammate out a little bit closer out. Not push him into the gravel, but definitely have more of an advantage going through into turn number 6. And that is over and done with for him, unfortunately. We've got an overtake happening here as Enzo Sabaton under DRS, happily taking Zinedine Hajjaj's position right out of his hands. He's now up to the net lead of this race is Enzo Sabaton. I tell you what, Enzo's had a really roller coaster of a race weekend, hasn't he? Struggled through Q1, managed to nail Q2, struggled in Q3, struggles with the race start on the medium tyre, and has an absolute blinder of a second stint on the hard tyre. As I tell you what, these medium tyres are starting to wash out really badly now on lap number 14. So these guys no doubt are trying to commit to the one stop, but really tricky out there at the moment as Ryderdahl now entering the pit lane as we've got a rear lock up in Lifebout.
Puncture on Lifebout. That is the back left on Lifebout. Gone. Well and truly gone. Well, Chris is in trouble. Chris is in puncture territory. We very well know it because his teammate has just got a rear puncture, and all of a sudden the one stop may not be the ideal position to be in, because Enzo Sabaton is only 6.4 seconds behind, which is more than likely going to be a two-stop strategy, and is catching at a rate of knots. It's now going to be Zinedine Hajjaj that's going to do it, as we've got Zach Styler trying to get involved as well. It's very tetchy stuff for the Mercedes driver at the moment. That's surely not another puncture, is it?
No. He's got away with it. It looked like to be he just lost the rear, and that might have been caused by the puncture, but he is just trying to get around here, and I think he knows that with what's happened with Lifebout, he needs to be very careful indeed. He is using hot lap, so he is trying to maximize as much as he can from this lap, but no doubt surely going to be diving into the pit lane. He is, yeah, he's gone the wrong side of the entrance, so he would have been penalized for that in normal racing scenario, but he knew he didn't want to put too much pressure on the tyres as he loses the rear go again. But very well held as Chris comes in, and actually at one point those tyres would have very happily gone 16-ish laps. Well, I tell you what, not that case anymore on this game cycle.
Yeah, Matteo giving us the information early on in the chat, and it looks like it's gone that way as Zach Styler trying to find a way through. Enzo Sabaton and Zinedine again led all of the first stint pretty much for this main strategy, which looks like everyone's on, as poor TTM Mustache picking up a 3-second penalty just behind, and he looks to go up the inside, forces a move from Enzo. Will he try a switchback? It looked like it was nearly on for a switchback for Zach Styler, but in the end it just didn't come together.
Kind of surprised that Zach decided to go for a little bit of an over and under on them two, to be honest with you, because he knows that the racing line was always going to be taken. Oh, big snap from Enzo as he gets a tank slapper, very well held from the Ferrari, but he'll lose time now to Zinedine Hajjaj, but he'll gain it back under DRS. The question is whether Styler will see blood. Here he comes then with the DRS available. He's not going to look for it going into turn 1, surely. If it's going to be done, got to be done at turn number 3. Now Gio with a 3-second penalty for his troubles as well. Chucking the car through the right-hander, loses the rear ever so slightly, does Styler. So that will surely mean that everyone will stay in the status quo.
Yeah, I think so for the time being, as just a little bit of ducking out, and the grip just wasn't there. You see drivers ducking out of the turbulent air from the car ahead to try and maybe cool down. We'll have to wait and see if that is the case or not, as again Enzo just trying to block Zach Styler from making a move into turn 4, as we've got a fair few penalties going on at the moment. There's Lawrence through there, and I'm going to take the wild guess and say these guys will be pitting about lap 26.
Potentially. It depends what the lap times are going to be like. I'm just keeping a firm eye on Chris at the moment with his lap times, because it's going to be fairly important to see how his lap times look on these new set of hards versus the now older set of hards for the likes of Enzo, Zach, Zinedine, because of course if they have to pit, Chris technically might be able to get those hards to the end. It might be a bit of a push considering how much they're getting eaten at this circuit, but he certainly has got a tyre advantage at the moment, and he's got to make that count.
Certainly does indeed, as we continue on with the front three for the time being. Zinedine, Enzo and Zach Styler. Zach Styler's got a great launch through turn 3, coupled with a poor launch from Enzo, but Enzo's getting the toe from Zinedine ahead, and Zach Styler unable to make the move, but Enzo's struggling.
Yeah, he is struggling. He just went for the inside line and unfortunately ended up locking up all 4 tyres, did Enzo. He's lucky that the car didn't spin out on him, actually. So Zach definitely putting the pressure on the Ferrari man, but on this occasion, it is still in advantage of Enzo at the moment. Of just keeping an eye out, as I said, on the lap times, as we've got more people now getting time penalties. I think that's Mustache with one. 1:06.690 was Chris's last lap time. Zinedine's last lap time was a 1:07.6. So I tell you what, he's about a second a lap faster at the moment, is Chris, versus those at the front, and that could very much wake up the drivers in front, because Chris is a dark horse in this race, despite the fact he's in 12th.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? We wouldn't have said that early on, and you would just really wonder what his mistake in Q2, crashing out, has cost him. Because if he was at the front of this, would things be different?
Critical thing, isn't it? If it wasn't for the fact that he decided to crash himself out of Q2, despite the fact he was through to Q3, he would have actually been a very considerable driver for winning this race here tonight. So keep an eye out on Chris. He's just got to make sure that he utilises these fresh tyres to the best of his ability. The way he has to do that, though, is by overtaking people, and if he's stuck in a DRS train and he can't get it done, then there's no point. He's just going to take those tyres a significantly long way, caught in dirty air, and everyone's going to be on better tyres than him that will actually go to the end, whereas these might be a little bit risky. It's a high-risk strategy, but he has to get the moves done if he wants to do it.
It's a risk-reward factor, isn't it? And that is going to be... we'll have to wait and see. Well, we'll find out in the end of laps 36 whether the risk was worth the reward. But Zach Styler still struggling behind, and this is a different situation now for Zach. Obviously, they were leading it earlier on. Now they're not leading it. They're in third place as Chris and Oscu fighting away behind. We may need to go back on board with that and see what's happening here.
Yeah, he went for a late breaker around the outside versus Oscu, because Oscu gave the position up versus Ryderdal. Didn't want to really battle too hard, and the Kick Sauber similarly doing exactly the same thing. And I think now his virtual Bono in that Mercedes with that Lewis Hamilton helmet is saying, Chris, it's hammer time.
We'll wait and see. It's, well, maybe we'd call it Kimmy time now, I'm not sure. But on this occasion, Chrissy time. But back to the leaders. Zach Styler still trying to find a way through on Enzo Sabaton. 3 lap better tyres. But sooner or later, the engine is going to start screaming, isn't it?
Yes, that will be a critical factor, so he needs to get these moves done as quick as he possibly can. What will be the warning for him as well is that the first hard tyre runner in Niall Gio has decided to pit as well. So now he's going to the end of this race on now another set of fresh hard tyres. Francesco Largo and Owen getting into their own scrap turn number 3. This is for P4, P5. Francesco Largo getting a lovely tow from the Alpine of Zach Styler, which is then handed straight back over to Owen. They're still going side by side, going through to turn 4. Little bump in wheels, but surely the traction available on the advantage of the Red Bull, and that is what's happening. He'll get the toe as well ever so slightly, but Owen will have the inside line of this next corner, but getting sandwiched by the Alpine. They're still side by side, going through then into turn number 7. Their tyres are locked, and into the gravel that Francesco Largo will go. That will invite Mustache. He decides not to fight it, and now Francesco Largo, the pole sitter, is now in P5.
That is big crazy right now, as unfortunately Mustache picking up a 3-second time penalty there. But Owen holding on to that position, and that's probably what Zach wants. He probably wants Owen. I know it's only 1 lap tyre difference between the two, but he probably wants Owen behind rather than Francesco, so he can concentrate on the front 2 as Enzo Sabaton trying to get round the outside, or the inside of turn 2, the outside of turn 3, but it won't be the outside of turn 3 because he's already got the move done and dusted on Zinedine ahead, as he can think about pulling ahead, as Zach Styler has an Aston Martin in front of him for the first time in a little while, instead of that Ferrari.
For the one-stoppers update, so Ryderdal and Chris now hugging each other very nicely in P7 and P8. They'll pull each other along as he tried to close down the gap on the top 6.
That's an interesting one to keep an eye on as well, because the closer they get up to the top 6 while they're squabbling away, the better it will be come the end of the Grand Prix, because they'll be further ahead when they go onto the medium compounded tyres, unless these guys are thinking about, no, is that Zinedine going into the pits? That is, drivers heading into the pits. Enzo and Zinedine onto a set of mediums. I can only assume, or is it? It can't be a set of hards, surely.
Probably a set of hards at the moment, considering what's happened to Lifeboat, because their lap times were falling completely off a cliff by around about the 12th lap. So a fresh set of hard tyres is what I would expect. If they take it to around about lap 27 and then pit, then I'd say probably a set of medium tyres would be the sort of wise choice. Chris and Ryderdal, this is a critical part of this race now. They need to work with each other. They don't want to race each other. Just pull each other along, make this work, and they might just be able to get this strategy to get onto the podium. I don't think, though, the race victory is particularly on cards here, unless the likes of Zach and Owen decide to take each other out, because they're going side by side. They were through turn 4, going through turn 5 into turn 6. They go side by side. Owen is washing out wide. Use the ERS available to him. Zach will do so. They lock wheels. They bounce wheels, and off of the track Owen will go. He will take a warning for that. Francesco Largo happy to go side by side, but he's boxed in between the pair of them. He'll try and push around the wheel. Zach is broken early. He gets into the pit lane. You can't do that one, Owen, and he gets a 3-second penalty for it.
That is not ideal at all. And it's all about track position now, isn't it? They're all squabbling about track position as Ryderdal and Chris flying on through. And I think this is, well, their time just to work together, pull away, don't get caught in any sort of, hootenanny or whatever you want to call it, craziness. Owen coming out of the pits. Where is that Mustache? Sorry, is just ahead. Owen's on a set of mediums, thinking that they can go much further into this one. Behind Mustache, Zinedine's 2.5 seconds up the road, along with Enzo Sabaton as well. That is a large amount of time between the two of them.
Right, so Chris and Ryderdal pulling each other along very nicely. Remember, they're on the old set of hard tyres. They're going to try and go the distance if they can at the moment, but those tyres will start to feel a little bit more on the worn side in the next couple of laps. Owen has gone for a set of fresh medium tyres. He thinks he can take the medium tyres 11 laps and not lose too much time. They won't pop, but they certainly will not feel nice towards the end of this race, and I think he will probably find at lap 35, 36, he's definitely going to hit a cliff edge. So keep an eye out on Owen, because I think he's going to fall very rapidly, and with that 3-second penalty to his name as well for what is an atrocious pit entry, no surprises he's going to find that he's going to be falling down like a stone at the end of this race.
Yeah, again, another risk-reward situation, isn't it, for Owen? Just like Chris and Ryderdal up ahead. And yeah, those mediums, maybe not competitive in the last few laps of the race. We'll have to wait and see. But if they're involved in a train, a DRS train, it might just pull them along a little bit. We'll have to wait and see. Lap 26 of 36, we've lost 4 drivers. Lifebout, Yassir, Nico and Caden. Lifebout with that puncture. I think they've just given up in the pits in the end as well. Noel getting overtaking Lawrence for the battle for P9 there. I think things have started to settle just for a time being, and as I say that, Niall and Lawrence still fighting away tooth and nail.
Keeping an eye out on Ryderdal. Not the best lap, actually, from Ryderdal on this occasion. Now, remember, he pitted 1 lap earlier versus Chris, so he's on a slightly older set of hard tyres, and every lap with the tyres being as volatile as they are in this particular game cycle could mean a lot. Now, he's obviously earning that time back thanks to the use of the DRS versus Chris, and actually Chris not going to be fighting him too hard as he swap positions here. The pair of them going to be working with each other. Sector 1 yellow flags are waving. We've got XPG Flame, who has entered into the gravel. Francesco Largo, 14-lap-old hard tyres. He's still going the distance. They're not in popping territory, anywhere near popping territory as of yet, but he will be keeping a very firm eye on the likes of Enzo Sabaton, who is now only, if my math works out correctly, less than 10 seconds behind Francesco now, and he's going to be in a bucket load of traffic, but he will be on a fresh set of mediums that will go the distance.
He will be. 9.6 seconds is that gap between Enzo and Francesco for the time being, and we'll see if Francesco pits. Nope, nothing yet for the Red Bull driver, unless they are deciding that they can take those tyres to the end of the Grand Prix? That's an interesting one. Maybe. We'll have to wait and see. Chris and Ryder Dahl still looking like they're working together, but it's not working as quickly to Francesco as we could have thought. It's only working about 0.2 of a second at the moment, as Owen is the fastest driver on the track.
Yeah, with a medium tyre, that is no surprise, but just bear in mind, of course, that those tyres have got to go the distance, and we saw with lifebouts, we've got us changing positions between Guess Who's and Adina and Enzo once again. They've got to take the tyres the distances, Owen, though, and that's the problem. If he keeps pushing too hard, he's going to be in a bit of a lifebout scenario where he'll end up falling off a cliff around about lap 11 of these tyres, and that could pose a bit of a threat. Sector 3 yellow flags waved. We have a slow car, and I believe it's actually for Flame, who's punctured his tyres on lap 18 of the hard tyres. If that isn't at least a little bit of a window for us, we'll know that Ryder Dahl, Christoph, ooh, that's going to be close, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm just trying to do the maths in my head, and Chris might struggle. Obviously, Ryder Dahl is on that territory as well, and I'm just getting flashbacks from the season 20 finale where we lost the champion. Obviously, there is not that much on the line in a social race, but championship was decided on the same track, no less, as Chris and Ryder Dahl swapping positions yet again. Yeah, this could be a very interesting end to this Grand Prix.
Yeah, you've got to be very careful about getting on the throttle here, because that's on both occasions we had a puncture, Gareth. It was the rear left tyre that went pop, and Ryder Dahl at the moment is starting to overdrive the car on the rear. He's putting the power down too much, and the rears are just lighting up a little bit. He doesn't want to put too much stress in those rear tyres because that will harm him towards the end of this race. Lap 18 is when those tyres went pop for Flame. That gives everyone a little bit of a margin. Math works out in my head that Ryder Dahl is going to be in trouble, and Chris is leaving it very late. So they've got to look after those tyres. And remember, they've got people behind on fresher tyres that are now getting very close indeed. The gap now 4 seconds.
This is getting very, very close, isn't it? A lot to be said about how this new game has changed everything, to be honest, with tyre life. Because it feels like it has, and all of a sudden, we don't know what strategy is going to be best. This currently looks like a two-stop strategy at Austria, as we continue watching Enzo and Zinedine go up the hill, just behind, actually, Zach Styler looking to make a move on Owen as they head into turn 3, and cuts across very, very aggressively there.
Francesco Largo's tyres have fallen off a cliff, folks. The gap is now only half a second. That came out of nowhere. I have a feeling that he's going to have to box at the end of this lap for a fresh set of soft tyres. I think Largo was trying to get the tyres to the end of the race here, you know. There's no way he'd have just decided to just pit now and go on a set of soft tyres, because he was always going to get stuck in traffic. So yeah, I think Largo was trying to get these tyres to the end of the race, but it's going to take one more than a tyre whisperer to get these tyres to the end. Surely Largo is pitting. Oh my goodness me, he's not. There is a puncture imminent for the race leader of this race, surely.
Goodness me. Goodness me. Where's Renz Thomason when you need him? Because that was the tyre whisperer that we know, but Francesco could be the new tyre whisperer. We'll have to wait and see. But here comes Chris to the outside of turn number 2, which will be the inside. Francesco's got no pace to fight with these guys at all into turn 3. And we've got Chris leading the Grand Prix for the first time this race.
This is my point, Gareth. Look at the difference between 2 and 3 laps in the same tyre compound with Largo and the likes of Ryder Dahl and Chris. Largo has got absolutely no pace whatsoever on those hard tyres. The front right looks very scary, actually. So he's going to be very careful about how he utilises these tyres now for the rest of this race. Lap 18 is where we saw Flame make them go pop. Will Largo be able to go those extra 5 laps and then hold back a rampaging Enzo Sabaton on a fresher set of hard tyres? The gap now only 2.5.
Still no pits for Francesco. This is pre-season testing at its best. He's got Enzo 2.3 seconds behind. He's holding on to the front runners at the moment and causing a little bit of issues. Where is Zach Style in all this? Yellow flag for someone. Is that XPG Flame? Is that Priory? I don't know which
It's
driver.
for Hazara. Hazara's gone for a spin on lap number 17 on his hard tyres. Guess what? It's a puncture. And he's got the front, it's the back left once again. That's gone bang. So that will be it for Hazara and his race. But that, again, is a testament to how well Francesco Largo has looked after these tyres. They're 19 laps old. They're still going, but they are going to be screaming at him.
My goodness me. How have they managed that as we keep on? Well, and this is what a social race is for, isn't it? You know, you get a lot more testing out of this. There's nothing on the line, really. There's no points, just pride. And you get to push those tyres that extra bit more. 20 lap old those tyres are going to be. Fair play to Francesco. We thought Ryderdal and Crisp were going to be the ones pushing the tyres to the absolute limits. But it's actually going to be Francesco.
The rear right is absolutely screaming. Francesco, I'm just wondering, he's just starting to slide now. Enzo Sabaton is now less than a second behind Francesco, and that is going to pose a little bit of a threat, especially look at the amount of gap he's going to get just in this turn alone. It would have been about 1 second. He comes out of the corner, Enzo, after making a nice little corner, little mistake, but still gaining around about a tenth and a half. Chris and Ryderdal switching positions, no surprises. Francesco is not going to battle with these two. It'd be the unwisest thing to do in his entire racing career. 2.5 laps to go. I am praying for everything that Francesco could get these tyres to the end, because then we will have at least another tyre whisperer.
Oh my goodness, this is going to be so close. With if it's going to pop. We've seen tyres pop on lap 17. Flame retired from the Grand Prix. I can't not watch Francesco, to be perfectly honest, because this is incredible work from the Red Bull driver right now, as the rest of the grid on the hard compound tyres, that's Enzo, Zinedine and Zach, all caught up. No, sorry, it's just Zach and Zinedine. Sorry, Enzo and Zinedine that are caught up. Zach, Owen and Moustache haven't caught up. They're still 3.6 seconds behind with 2.5 laps remaining. They're not going to get a chance with this one.
Enzo going for it. Oh, he's defending it. It's Francesco. Fair play to him, though. Little mistake from Ryderdal. He's got to try and hold on if he can, Ryderdal, because he's got to stay within the DRS territory of Chris for this strategy to work. He's going side by side with Francesco is Enzo, but surely this move is going to be done and dusted. Francesco's not going to try and defend this one with that aged tyre, and he will now be relegated to 4th place as a result. Ryderdal is going side by side with Enzo Sabaton. Not going to get the move done on that particular corner, but he could get it done going through turn 6 if he goes for the late breaker and has the grip, but he doesn't. Remember, he's got 10 lap old hards now. They may be significantly better, but they're not going to be that much better at the moment. They will be significantly worn in comparison to where he was right at the start of this particular stint. Keep an eye out going through the right-hander, the next right-hander. Look how much later on the brakes Enzo can go. But as it stands so far, the gap is still forming. He needs to stay in DRS. Does Ryderdal? And if I was Chris, get off of the throttle and let Ryderdal in your DRS, because that will help with the defensive manoeuvre.
Penultimate lap of this race. This is incredible stuff. Just behind Francesco and Zinedine fighting, squabbling away. Enzo's been forced off the track. My goodness me, there's damage. There is big moment there. Chris is caught in. What on earth has happened? Chris still leads this race. Zinedine then up into 2nd place, and Francesco somehow still holds 3rd.
Still holding 3rd place on these old tyres at the moment. If you're wondering who that is, that's Bell Belby. By the way, it's a lapped car down in P14. It's a magnificent effort, though, from Francesco Largo as he starts the lap of this race. Come on, get these tyres to the end, son. It'll be an absolutely blinding situation for him.
And Zach, as well, nearly caught up to the back end of all this. There's a little bit of braking in trains. Francesco nearly caught out. It's going to be a sprint now between Chris and Zinedine on 2 separate strategy as they come on down into turn 1. Surely it's all Zinedine's from this point on. I don't want to go on board with that Red Bull just in case a commentator's cursing and they go and blow that tyre. But here comes the Aston Martin to the outside of...
Oh,
there's wheel contact.
Chris has got DRS. Chris has got DRS. Chris has got DRS as well, because he broke early and he's got the DRS as well. I don't think this is exactly Zinedine's all taken here, you know.
That is absolutely, that could be a magic move there from Chris. I was wondering why they let the position go so quickly, but that was because of the DRS, wasn't it? And through into turn 6, Zinedine has got a lot of pressure on their shoulders now. They've surely got the tyre life in advantage, but Chris has got a puncture. Chris is gone. Chris is out, clips the back end. That's absolutely massive. Somehow, tyre whisperer Francesco's going to hold on and get P2 out of all this. But it's Zinedine who's going to take the victory today. What a crazy, crazy race. Francesco's holding on. Zinedine wins from Francesco in second place. With how on earth did they get those tyres as far as they have?
24 laps for Francesco Largo. What a magnificent effort from the Red Bull to get those tyres as late as he possibly can. I feel so sorry for Chris. He was doing so well, but the back left tyre went bang, and that is his race gone.
Wow. Francesco, those tyres, I don't know if I can... I think I can see the metal of the tyre through that. They are so thin. But well played to Francesco. That is an incredible race there. It's not something I thought we would see 24 laps on hards when everyone else is popping 6 or 7 laps before.
Everyone is absolutely screaming in the console tier 1 chat, by the way. What the hell was your tyre wear? Because he must have been navigating around that for a couple of laps at least 90% wear. To get to the end is a real effort. I feel sorry for Chris, though. He really did a very good job to get them to the end, and only 3 corners away, he did a TF10 Dirk, and he ends up losing the race as a result of a puncture. What an effort from Zinedine, though. Made the strategy work an absolute treat. The 2-stop, clearly the better strategy to be on in the end by a very small margin, though. Great effort from the second place man, though, my driver of the day, by a country mile.
That seemed like the exact same spot as a season finale that Chris and Tech Brutal lost the championship last season. But my goodness me, what was the words? 90% wear penultimate lap. I didn't want to look on the last lap. To be honest, I wouldn't either. My goodness me, what tyre saving that was there from Francesco Largo there. That is absolutely incredible. I'm not going to get to see the final positions there, unfortunately, but we don't really need to. It's a social race after all. How? 24 laps? How, Jota? How is that possible when everything else was going off?
Quite frankly, I don't know. I think he's actually defied the laws of physics, to be perfectly honest with you. There's no way you can take a set of tyres that people are puncturing at 17 laps in, another 7 laps, and still get the distance. That is one of the best bit of tyre-saving strategy, tyre-saving races that I have seen from a driver. The Red Bull, Francesco Largo, did such a magnificent effort. Is he jammy that he got P2? Yeah, there was a crash in front of him. And yeah, Chris definitely spun out and crashed as a result of his tyre escapades. But nonetheless, it's what he deserves after taking so long on those tyres. What a valiant effort indeed. In this, our final social race, Gareth, before we get going for the competitive stuff.
I know. Risk-reward, and it was perfect, wasn't it? You know, it was great to see where everyone else, well, other drivers didn't have that at all, unfortunately. We saw maybe Lifebout trying it on the early stint, and it didn't work, and this time it did work for them. Both Mercedes struggled with that puncture. Let's not going to open that can of worms for it, but yeah, what a hell of a race. Driver of the day, I think you said for Francesco, didn't you?
100% as well. And I think one thing I want to mention about Francesco as well, going through, you know, when Chris had spun out, he spun out at turn 7, turn 8. He just ended up clipping Francesco as well. So Francesco was lucky he didn't even get a puncture from damage, never mind just from the tyre degradation. So everything about that from Francesco was absolutely magnificent in his second stint. That alone gets driver of the day for me.
Yeah, what a race from Francesco. We've got to hand it to him there, for definite. I think that's really roughly about it from us, Jota, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. Let's go through the calendar one last time for season 21 on the console side of things. We've got Austria, Spain, Belgium, United States, Monaco. The Azerbaijan Grand Prix starts the second half of the season with Silverstone, Emilia-Romagna, the Japanese Grand Prix, and then rounding out at what is now the end of the season in real life F1, which is Abu Dhabi. Some great tracks there, isn't it? It's going to be a hell of a season.
Yeah, it'll be a hell of a season across all of the calendar, across all of the leagues that are taking part. Of course, sign-ups are available, so make sure that you get your sign-up in before, I believe it's July the 11th, if I'm not mistaken. So make sure that you get all of those sorted. Get your 3-time trials in at Bahrain, Miami, and Qatar. And, of course, remember the placements will be announced over on our Twitter /X at WR League on July 14.
There we go. There we have it. And for now, us on the commentary side of things, thank you so much for tuning in with all the social races this pre-season. We hope you've enjoyed. We'll be live. Well, actually, let's have a look, because it said it on that standing up as well. Not the the calendar list from July the 21st. So we will be. That is going to be the Monday, so we will be on the 25th, the console side of things, which will round it all down perfectly, I think. But for now, from myself and Jota, thank you so much for watching, and we hope you enjoy Season 21, because we are sure it's going to be the best one yet. We'll catch you in the next one.